We now have the opportunity to stay active into our later years. This has increased the need for us to stay healthy longer. This means not just living longer, but enjoying life later. We love to be active and continue to be able to do the activities we love. To be able to move and play as we did in our younger years, we need to keep the frame, joints, and their supporting structures healthy. With ancient regenerative movement programs like integrated Qigong, the test of time has shown that we can extend our strength, endurance, and agility beyond what was previously considered possible. After many years of study and adventure travel, I share integrated Qigong as a way to stay active and to promote health and longevity. Qigong is an ancient Chinese holistic exercise system. This program for enhancing lower spinal qi will benefit the circulation, regeneration, and flexibility of the tissue responsible for low back challenges. It will prevent most back problems from developing and will help in strengthening and rehabilitating those who have existing low back pain. Lower spinal qi exercises address back challenges at their origin. Both the mind and the body are components causing the condition. Integrated Qigong addresses both the physical and emotional stress responsible for low back dysfunction. So we'll start in the very bottom of our extremities and with the right foot, and we're going to rotate outside circles to open up the joints of the feet, the ankles, the knees, and the hip, all the while expanding the lower qi breath. Good, and then rotating inward circles. Switching sides. So we keep this relaxed. We keep the balance in the lower qi center at the qi high point. Keep the breath there, and we keep the awareness in this area as well. Switch directions so that the leg is not doing the work, the foot's not doing the work, it's the breath is helping us in this movement. Good. And then we're going to toes about 3 inches apart, palms on knees, arms straight, and then rotating to the right. Good. Again, focusing on the breath, but also getting a nice motion of the knees, the hips, and the low back. And then switching directions. It's easy to feel the breath when you're in this position because you can feel the expansion of the lower abdominal qi center. Good. And then standing, feet a little bit wider apart, arms relaxed, everything from the navel up completely relaxed. But we're going to rotate clockwise, keeping the head still and expanding, so we're opening up all the joints of the hips, the sacrum, the low back. We're engaging the low back. We're engaging the symphysis pubis, so we're getting all those joints to circulate and to get what we call passive diffusion action into the ligaments so that we're getting them ready to engage the muscles. Because right now, the muscles are just beginning to warm up before we start to really use them. Okay? Good. Then arms linking, relaxing the upper body, bending knees slightly, and the Qigong stance is expanding the center area so that we have opening of the organs and the organ cavity, and then rotate around that central axis point that would go from the top of your head all the way down to the coccyx or the tailbone. So just picture that there's a nice straight line running through there. And you're just rotating around that point. Keep the face looking straight ahead, gaze looking straight out, and then still touching into the lower qi breath. Good, then continue that rotation all the way around so that you're now using more of the hip joint and the sacroiliac joint and opening up the back. Good, keeping the upper body relaxed, keeping the movement coming from that lower chi center. Good, then coming back to the front, facing front, and release the arms. So now the arms are just swinging from the motion of the pelvis. Good. Now keep that rotation in the same plane, but extend it a little bit farther around. So we get continued opening of the joints we've already started to warm up. Good, coming back around to the front. Good. Then we're going to extend up again through from the lower chi center, which is just about 3 inches below the navel. We're going to try to extend that up, bending the knees, and we're going to go into keep the trunk at a horizontal, and we're going to rotate around that horizontal axis, which is from the top of the head all the way to the tailbone, with the shoulders relaxed, the chest relaxed, and the motion really starting in the lower chi center, but initiated and helped with the leg muscles, just as you would do if you were ice skating, but relaxing the upper body and the upper trunk and shoulders. Good. And then coming back up, standing, and then arms to front. So the palms are up in the front and up in the back. And then we're going to switch that so the palms are up in front and back as well. Good. And just keep that rotation going. Now relax the upper body so that it's just like a pendulum effect. In all the Qi Gong exercises, imagine that there's a small round spring, like a clock spring, that's keeping all these motions going in the lower chi center. So all of these have continued perpetual motion that could go on and on and on without us ever needing energy from the muscles of the shoulders and the chest to keep it going. It's all coming from the core strength. But beneath the core strength is the chi strength. So you should feel that you could probably do this all day without getting tired. Once you get this. It takes a while. This is something that people practice for many, many years. And the beauty of this practice is that you can do it when you're in your youth, all the way up until you're very old. Okay, now we're going to extend this to side. And then allow the elbows to relax, so you get elbows bending, wrists, fingers relaxed. Good, and then slowing down, coming to the front. And now the body is ready to start to open up and engage the muscles, all right? But before we do that, we want to do something called the rhythmic waveform, which is a system of Qigong that is called Neidangong. And what that means essentially is we're using that interior of the dantian, which is this little sphere of energy, and we're initiating that to get the whole body moving, okay? So to do that, we're going to start with shaking through initiating the legs, relaxing the body, and directing that wave running through the body from front to back on the arms and shoulders. But imagine that this wave is just generated from here going up and down the whole system. Okay, now the breath work is a little bit different on this one. What we're doing is what we call from the bottom up breath, or the penetrating channeled breath. So the breath is exhaling all the way down to the perineum and slightly contracting the perineum, and then release and inhale and bring the energy all the way to the top of the head. So just imagine that you're taking the breath and congealing it at the bottom, releasing it, and bringing it up all the way to the top of the head with each breath, with each inhalation, and exhaling and letting it gently drop to the perineum. Just repeating that cycle so that while you're doing this, you're actually clearing that channel through the center, which is going right down the spinal column, right down the center of the spine, center of the body. Good, now stop the leg movement and just allow the upper body to keep this motion going. This again is another motion that's generated by that Qi movement in the breath. This system is called an active form of Qi Gong. There's the passive motion that's very slow, deliberate movements. And then there's the active Qi Gong system, which is again initiated by the Qi and the breath and perpetuated by the autonomic nervous system. Good, then bring the arms up in front. And just as if you have a sphere between your palms and you're rotating that sphere in front of you, allow that motion to again remain perpetual, effortless. No strength is required. It's just the image. So you start the image and you bring the Qi with the image, and then the force and the motion follows. Good. Then to engage the low back and the belt meridian, which runs right around the waist, we're going to rotate to the right and to the left. Bending the knees slightly, tucking the tailbone in, extending through the top of the head, bringing the breath up and down that penetrating vessel. Good, then coming around to the front, release the arms. And I want you to just experience the energy moving through the torso, the arms, possibly down into the legs. Good, and we want to extend that energy and that motion that you may feel now. Do you feel tingling? A little bit. This is the easiest way to manifest Qi is through this exercise. And in this, because of active Qi Gong, you get a Qi manifestation very early and very fast. And because of that, I think more people can actually experience Qi this way than any other way. Is the slower Qi Gong internal system takes many, many years before you start to feel it moving. So take that Qi now and extend it out through the leg. So we're going to do external circles first. Good, then internal circles. Good, it's important to open up the joints of the feet because each one of the toes corresponds to the lumbar spine. So if those toes are not moving freely, neither does the lumbar spine. So bring the foot extending out in front of you. And let's just let the hip open by just swinging slightly, relaxing the hip. This challenges the balance, the coordination, and releasing and letting go. And then we're going to extend the foot straight out, pointing the toes slightly, and then just bring that rhythmic wave all the way out through the foot. Good. Keeping the breath going up the spine, down the spine. Good, and then coming back to standing and go to the other side. Again, to release the joints in the toes and the feet, to open up the capacity for Qi to come through the bubbling spring point, which is just at the inside of the ball of the foot. But it's also to open up the toes. So we've got Qi coming in through the, what I call the palms of the feet, the toes opening up so the back is free, extending the foot out, lengthening the leg, slightly swinging to establish that independence of the hip. Good, then extend the leg back and begin the rhythmic wave. Good, coming back down. Then we want to bring the Qi all the way up through the top of the head again with the breath. Up on the toes, good. And then we're coming all the way down, extending the fingers all the way back, straight spine. Good, then coming back up. With the breath, bringing the Qi to the top of the head and then exhaling it and bring it all the way down through the tailbone. Back up one more time. And all the way back and then staying in this horizontal position. And then bring that rhythmic wave all the way out through the fingertips. And bring the Qi, again, with the breath from the tailbone to the top of the head, and then exhaling and letting it flow back down, all the way down to the tailbone. And try and relax your neck, try and relax everything, and all the energy is really coming from that motion. So if you can extend the spine out, use your legs to support this, and just create relaxation through this whole thing. And allow the breath to make it happen. Good. Then it's coming back up. Good. So now we've opened up the joints. We've gotten the muscles lubricated, increased the circulation, increased capillary circulation, also increased coordination by doing rhythmic wave action. So cross circuitry of the brain is acting a little bit better now. So now we're ready to start to work with the core, strengthening the core musculature, strengthening the energy in that area so that we can, again, address the back, which is what we're trying to do, is to improve the strength of the low back and all of the tissues in there. So when you do this one, the breath is lower Qi breath. With each movement, as you move the knees up to do contraction of that core strength, you're going to bring the breath out. It's kind of opposite of what most people have learned in exercise, is that when you do the action, you're breathing out, but you're going to do the opposite. So you're breathing in and expanding when you're bringing the knees or doing a crunch or using the abdominal musculature. So you should be warmed up enough so that when you use these muscles, you will continue to add strength to them. If you start doing muscular work too early before you warm them up, you actually decrease the capacity for strength. It actually reduces it by about 30%. Okay, so everyone grab your knees with your hands and relax everything except using the arm and the breath power to bring those knees up. So I want you to just do in your own count, do 6 so that you're pulling the knees up with the breath in, expanding the lower Qi field, and exhaling and releasing the arms so that you're bringing the tailbone off the mat with each of the breaths. Good, again, breathing through the nose, tongue slightly pressing up on the palate. Imagine the breath coming all the way down through the lungs, expanding that lower Qi field, and energizing that area so that you're able to get energy down to the lower back and the tissues of the joints and connective tissue that is needed for lower back strength. Good, so you're getting a stretch and you're also getting an opening to that area. Good, so then bring the feet down. And then feet are planted on the mat. And now we're going to do the same breath, but with each breath you're going to press the lumbar spine flat onto the mat. Okay, so do 6 breaths, flattening and contracting the muscles to bring the back flat. And then as you exhale, let that curve come back in and relax. So this actually uses and energizes the small muscles of the inner abdominal area as well as in the back, which we don't use that often. These slightly used rotator muscles of the low back and the inner abdominal muscles. Good. Then the next phase is to bring the knees up with the breath. And so as you bring those knees all the way up to your chest, you're using the core muscles. So don't hold them. So the only way you're bringing the knees up is with the breath and with the strength of the core musculature. Good, so you're getting a workout of the core, but you're using and initiating it again with the breath. So again, 6 more of those contractions and breaths. And try and lift the tailbone off the mat as you do this, so you get a little bit more energy into the system. Good, we want to work those muscles a little bit. Each time you do this, you get a little bit stronger and a little bit more engaged. Good. Then keep the knees up, and you're going to have both hands either in front of the face or across the chest. And we're going to be doing crunches so that the knees touch the elbows. So as you bring up and you expand that breath and you touch the knees, you're going to be pushing for 3 breaths. So it's inhale 3 times, expanding that lower chi field with each inhalation. And then after the 3, move your left elbow to your right knee and do 3 breaths there. Good. This increases the strength of the lower chi center, but also exercises certain areas of the lower spine that helps strengthen even smaller ligaments and smaller tendons that we don't usually get just by doing normal crunches. And the breath work is very important for enhancing this and enhancing the circulation. Good, so just, again, rotate for all 3 sides, and then once you've done 1 cycle, go back to the center. We're going to do 3 of these. Okay, so it's 3 counts of 3 breaths each. Good, it should be just a little bit of work, so you're starting to get a little bit warm now. You want to hold that spot, so you're just there, and then as you breathe in, then as you exhale, you're in the same spot. You're not moving back and forth, okay? Good. Good, and as you get stronger, I want you to push and put more energy and force and isometric contraction between the elbows and the knees, so that you're actually really using those abdominal muscles and really expanding the breath. Good. Then keep your position in this. So let's have everybody stay in that same position with both legs up, both knees up, and you're going to extend the right leg straight up. Okay, and then use your belt if you need to, and grab. I want you to grab that either use the belt on the foot or grab behind your right knee. And with the foot up, we're going to address the very top part of the hamstring. So again, keep your foot up in the air. So your left leg is up. And I want to give 3 nice breaths, lower chi breaths, expansive breaths as you stretch that muscle. So we're opening up the lower part of the hamstring to help to engage the back and to help release some of the tension that starts in the back, because most of it starts here. So the difference between this and just a regular hamstring stretch is that we're using lower chi breath, which brings circulation into the connective tissue and into the muscle in a completely different way. And this has been done for thousands of years by mostly martial artists and Qigong practitioners, but it's becoming practiced more and more by just the everyday population of those who do the practice of Qigong with lower Qi breath. Good. Now put your left foot onto the mat and then utilize that stability to now bring the stretch into the center of the hamstring. Okay, so the hamstring now is going to be lengthened not only just at the origin near the buttocks, but it's going to be in the center of the hamstring. So again, using the breath and stretching, so as you pull, your breath is expansive. As you release, you're relaxing it. We need that's sort of what we call passive stretch, but also it's active because the breath is engaging it. Okay, good. Then the next step is to get this stretch a little bit farther down the knee by straightening that left leg onto the mat. Good, and still using the breath to engage the stretch. So generally we do this in counts of 3s, 6s, or 9s, and 9 is the number of completion in Chinese and Taoist numerology. But for the sake of just getting through this, we're going to stick to just doing 3 stretches on the other side. So let's switch to the other side now, so that you're release that leg, and now it's going to be the left leg straight, and the right leg stays up in the air, bent knee. There you go, straight knee on the left side. Use your belt or grab behind the knee and engage 3 breaths and 3 stretches. Good, because we're working to open up this area that's seldom stretched. And because Western lifestyle has allowed us to have the conveniences of cars and chairs and desks and things that don't really engage the hamstring but actually shorten it, as well as a lot of our physical activities such as running and biking and hiking, we tend to not use this stretch very much. So it's a real important one to engage with every day, to lengthen and bring the energy into that musculature. Good, now bring the foot onto the mat. Good. And again, 3 nice stretches with 3 breaths. Really feel that breath expanding enough so that you can feel it go all the way down, expanding to the back and expanding to the front at the same time. Then when you're ready, straighten that right leg. And again, 3 more breaths, 3 more stretches. Good. Now bring the other knee back up so you have the left leg straight and the right leg is going to be bent. And what we're going to be doing is switching your right leg straight, left leg straight with each breath. So as you bring that leg straight up, you're expanding the breath. As you exhale, you're dropping the leg, and at the end of your inhalation and expansion of the lower chi field, you're straightening that other leg. So just keep switching back and forth. So this movement is helping to engage the hamstring that we just opened up and loosened, but it's also helping generate lower chi musculature. Good, so just keep that movement going. Do you feel it engaging and utilizing those stomach muscles to do that? Yeah? And try and keep the foot just right above the hip. So it's a nice straight leg. Good. Again, and the sequencing is with the breath. Good, then come to sitting position. And as we've worked the low back, now we have to work with opening it from another level, which is rotational. So we're going to do trunk rotations. So put right foot on the outside of the left knee, and we're going to do internal rotations. And the key to this rotation is using the opening of the shoulder to initiate and generate the breath so that we can then rotate all the way to the rear. But use this breath to bring us around instead of pushing with the shoulder, okay? So you're engaging the breath, and just go as far as you can by using the breath of lower chi field to do this, okay? So it's 3 rotations, and exhale to the front, inhale to the back, and exhale to the front, and 1 more. Good. That's internal. Let's do external rotations. Again, the rotation of that shoulder opening opens the lungs to bring the breath, and then bring that breath all the way down and expand the abdomen, and then exhale to the front and rotate your shoulder back down again. So it's inhalation, rotating and opening, exhalation, rotating and closing, and relaxing. Good. Another one. Good, and then just keep your upper body in the same place, switch your legs, so you're doing internal trunk rotation on the other side. Okay, so an inhalation and rotation, and 3 more. Keeping both sits bones on the mat as you rotate. And then rotating to external. Good. And then from here, both legs out in front, and then relaxing the upper trunk again, still using the lower chi breath. Bring your hands behind you to help initiate more of relaxation of the shoulders and upper trunk and head. And then as you hang over, what we're going to do is use the inner abdominal muscles to lift up the right foot, and holding, and 3 breaths. Good, and then switch to the other side. Now as you do this, at first you'll start using the quadriceps muscles to do this. But as you do this a little bit longer, you'll start using muscles farther and farther up into the internal lifting muscles of the psoas. And then you'll start using muscles deeper and deeper within. And that's what you want, because you're engaging the connective tissue that creates lower back pain, and you're strengthening the muscles that are needed to keep the back in the right position, okay? Good. Then we're gonna come over to front position, and we're gonna start on all 4s to do what we call the bridge postures, okay? So in Daoyin, or postural Qi Gong, we're actually going to imitate the arching action of a bridge, and then the swaying action, bringing the head all the way up. Good. So we're just exercising the spine. With each breath, you're expanding the lower chi field. The breathing, as you arch up, you're inhaling, expanding the lower chi field, and as you exhale, you're releasing all the way down and contracting the lower perineum, okay, and slight squeezing. So we're keeping it lower chi field breath. So what you're doing is you're generating circulation in that lumbosacral spine between the sacrum and the last lumbar vertebrae. And we're starting to bring the breath in that area. So as you expand your chi breath and expand from front to back, you're creating an opening, and as you relax, you're creating circulation that opens up all the discs of the low back, as well as all the ligaments that help support that area and keep it strong and keep it from moving too much, so that the muscles don't have to engage inappropriately. Good. And then we're going to come to standing position. And from here, we're going to keep your hands on the mat, but bring your feet about 2 feet behind you,
And we're going to do the same breathing. So as you inhale, you're expanding the lower chi field, the legs are straight, and you exhale, you're going to bend your knees and release the breath. Okay, so it's inhalation, rounding, expanding the lower chi field, exhalation, bending the knees, and arching the back as much as you can. Okay, if you need to, you can bring that distance between the feet and hands apart a little bit. It'll help you with the opening up of the shoulders as well. But when you're just beginning this, you want to keep that distance between the hands and feet a little bit closer. As you get farther into this, you can expand it farther and farther so that you're extending your shoulders a little more. So inhaling and straightening, exhaling and bending and arching the low back, again, opens up that lumbosacral junction, which is so important for maintaining a healthy back. Good. Then bring the feet close to the hands, and we're going to, in a sitting position, if you need to, you can support yourself with your arms to create that sitting position. What we're trying to do is what is affectionately known as the tortoise breath. Tortoise breathing is expanding the lower chi field as you breathe in, so you're rounding like a tortoise. And then as you exhale, you're going to just move that lower spine. So you're trying to just arch the low back slightly. Then inhale and round with expansion, and exhale and arch slightly. So you want little movement of the upper body and isolate the movement all on the lower body. So you're just using that lumbosacral junction, or that junction between the hips and the low back. And you can really feel it when you breathe in and round, and exhale and arch, that you're using muscles and connective tissue that need strengthening and need helping when you have low back problems. But it helps you in many other ways. Okay, then coming back up. Come all the way down onto the stomach. So instead of pushing with your arms to bring you up in the cobra position, we're going to use the lower chi breath to expand and lift. And exhale and down. Inhale, expanding the lower chi field, exhale and down. So you should feel that lower abdominal area pushing the body up like a balloon. And exhaling and relaxing the upper body. So as you do this longer, you'll use less and less arm strength and more chi strength. Good. And with every other exercise, we try and get a full range of motion in this one. So let's now rotate to the right, and then rotating back to center, and then rotate to the left, back to center, and just switching sides. Good. As you can feel this, the breath becomes more and more important to bring that exercise and that motion into the lower back. Good. And then just relax. Coming back up to sitting position. So we're going to rub the palms together first, and then rubbing the arms to seal off the pores that have been opened on both sides. And then rubbing the palms together, and then a big chi breath, and then bring that chi into your palms. And then smoothing the facial muscles and the skin, and enlivening all the tissues of the face. Round palming of the face. Then going over the ears to energize the ears and the points in the ears. And then fingertips through the hair. So all the points in the head, ears, and face correspond to the organ systems in the rest of the body.
So we want to keep getting circulation to these every day. So this is why it's a practice that you can do every day to help generate circulation and Qi flow. Then bring the thumbs to the very back, just below the occiput on outside of the neck muscles. You're doing internal circles in. These acupuncture points, called functure, which are there, the pools of wind, are there for protecting us from getting any sort of colds or flus or neck aches. Then we're going to go 2 fingers, the second fingers, and we're going to go the center and the top of the circle to the right. So we're rotating just at the base between the hairline and the forehead. So this is called spirit court. So this is residing, it's communicating with the pituitary gland. Then we're going to go straight to the center of the forehead, between the eyes. Again, do 9 rotations to the right. Then just below the nose. And just below the lip. This energizing and recirculating self-massage is very important to do every morning. Good, then we're going to move to the center between the navel and the sternum. And energizing the organs of the lower digestive and upper digestive tract. Good, and then bring it down just below about 3 inches below the navel. And this is the lower dantian. This is the point that's known as the Sea of Qi. So we're using this Sea of Qi with all of our breath work and everything we've done in this whole system. So we're integrating what we call physical motion with Qi motion. And then we're going to bring our hands to the outside of the thighs and all the way down the feet and up the inner thigh, and do 3 sealing and closing maneuvers here. And then we're going to bring our hands back to the kidneys. And for this one, I'd like you to cross your legs so that you have a little bit better positioning with your back. And then just bring the meditation that we've been doing this whole class and bringing the awareness to the breath. So as you have your hands in the kidney area, relaxing the shoulders, I want you to bring the awareness of that lower Qi field and the slight, what we call the Dan, or the sphere of immortality, the small sphere that exists just below the navel and about 1 inch in. And allow yourself to see that as you breathe in and expand that area, that sphere rotates forward. And create that visualization to help with the circulation of that area. So as you breathe in and expand that lower Qi field, you've got a slight rotation of an area in there that we call the dantian. And then as you exhale, that dantian coasts. So inhalation, you have slight acceleration. Exhalation, you have a coasting. So continue with that visualization. Good, this brings awareness to an area that we call the lower intelligence center. So then straighten your legs out, and I want you to recline and put your hands on that lower dantian. And just engage with the breath so that you're continuing that motion of abdominal expansion, but still intimately connected with the breath and the visualization of that lower Qi field creating energy moving up to the top of the head and down through the feet, but all the while, that little sphere continues to spin forward. And it spins forward eternally, just like our heart beats without any effort or any thought. That little sphere, that little dantian is continuing to move and generate energy to all the four extremities and up to the brain. And it's generated through the breath. And it's generated through what we eat. And it's generated through the energy we receive from others and through the environment. So this is an excellent meditation. Anytime you feel stress or you feel you're not in your most resourceful place, just bring your focus down to that lower chi field and that area spinning. Just for even a moment, you'll start to generate a certain degree of presence and a certain degree of peace that will change the whole dynamics of your body chemistry, your body tension, your nervous system, and helps with the process of regeneration. So just remember that thinking stops the flow of qi. So if you're either in the future or reminiscing about the past, the qi circulation becomes retarded or slowed down, and the next breath and the next awareness of that lower qi breath brings more conscious awareness and circulates qi, circulates nervous system energy, and increases beneficial blood circulation. So as often as you can, if you can bring your awareness to that place, all the benefit that you will gain will be exponential with each time you come to this area of present state awareness. So again, just keep that with you for the rest of the day until you do this practice again. Anytime you need a stress reducer, a place of relaxation, a time when you find your thoughts are not coming from a really resourceful spot, just bring your awareness from the outside objective world, drop it down to that lower chi field, engage the breath with slight expansion, with inhalation, relaxation, and then create that visual image of the sphere, your own personalized sphere, spinning forward. And just knowing that it's continually going just as your heart continually beats and your breath continually goes as long as we're alive. And with that acknowledgement, you'll create longevity, and you'll create health, and you'll create good relations. So have a great day, and we'll see you next class.